Hi guys, in this video we're going to take it right back to basics. We're not hardly going to do any playing, but we're going to do something that most people kind of get wrong, and I've seen some horror stories on my travels. It's all about how to set a kit up and get the best out of it. Now firstly, you have to be comfortable, so it's got to be all about the throne height really. If you're comfortable from your throne height, the rest should fall into place fairly natural. And the golden rule for me personally is my knees never come higher than my hips. If you can get that right, very, very comfortable, very relaxed, sloped shoulders, easy, very, very simple. Secondly, then it's the pedal positions, okay? So my feet on the pedals, I don't want to stretch out. I really don't want to stretch my legs further than they should go. And I also don't want to get my heels inside my knees. Otherwise, you'll get that kind of shin splint sort of vibe. We don't want that. So pretty much, I should be able to see if I'm looking down, my knees right down my shin, just about. And that is me setup-wise feet. Pedal position-wise, beater position, obviously we're going to use a plastic beater, about 45 degrees. Some guys go right up tight. Some guys bring them right back where the beater starts to go into the shin. If the beater starts hitting your shin, you're doing it wrong. So try and move the beater so it's about 45 degrees to get the best out of it. And tension-wise, I mean, it's highly subjective, but I have mine fairly tight, my pedals, but it shouldn't be an effort to get to that bass drum skin, as it were. And same with the hi-hat. It should feel very, 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 very natural. The second thing for me after that is the snare position. Now, fundamentally, when you're playing, you're doing this, or you're practicing, or you're in a band, the most things you'll be hitting will be the hi-hat, the snare, the kick drum. If you can get those three right with the right seat position, you'll be absolutely flying. So snare-wise for me, I tend not to have mine too high. I don't want to lift my hands too high. It's a really, really simple thing, is that I put my hands on my knees and my sticks are parallel, and then I just drop them. That's just like that. And that's what I have. And that's my position of the snare. To avoid the rim shot, but if I need to rim shot, I know it is there completely. Angles of toms, very, very important. Once again, I've seen some horror stories with V-drums. Now, it's quite easy to get right, and it's also very easy to get wrong. The classic case, I'm just slacking this drum off here, is when we're hitting toms, no matter how hard you hit them, you don't want to be hitting rims, okay? So I will just hit my stick like this, and I want to be hitting fairly square on to the playing surface. So pretty much flat sticks, and this is how I play. Everyone is slightly different, but for me personally as an educator, I like to be quite flat stick to my playing surface. Exactly the same on the floor toms, okay? If it's too low, you'll be hitting across and down the skin, and it could cause damage because you'll be going straight through, straight down, and it's not good for technique because it will force your hands to drop lower than they actually should do. Once again, going around the kit, and you can probably see on this kit, hopefully, it's quite ergonomic. So I'm not stretching to get anything. Some guys have their crashes up really, really high. I'm not stretching. Everything is within reach. So if I'm just going around the toms and the hi-hat here, it feels really, really natural. I'm really not pushing. The other thing I want to talk about is the actual cymbal position. Keep the Roland logo at the top because it's the prime point that I can really choke the cymbal. It won't really work that well if it's all around. And I see cymbals spinning all the time. It might cause damage to your loom as well. So make sure they're pretty secure. Make sure they've got it, they can breathe a little bit, but the whole thing isn't spinning. Module-wise, some guys are different with the module. I personally like to have my module on the left-hand side, on the extreme left-hand side, if I'm playing a single pedal. If you've got a double pedal, the slave will force the hi-hat out, so the module will go on the inside if you want to as well. So once again, if you're editing, you need to be able to see it. Very, very, very straightforward. And finally, for me personally, and the most important thing, again, is about feel. Now, a lot of guys, and we're talking about real technique here, as you sort of progress to the more intermediate advanced level, a lot of guys tend to have their mesh pads really, really tight. And that kind of, for me personally, it's not great. It's not great because it will give you what we call a false bounce. So you drop the stick on the mesh, and it's exactly the same on an acoustic snare drum as well. If you were to tighten the snare up, you were to drop the stick will just bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce. If you were to slacken it off, think about a floor tom, like an 18-inch floor tom, it will just drop. We want somewhere in between. So I tend to go, if I'm pushing my thumb in, about 5 millimeters inside. So that's much I have to breathe. And that's on all the heads. So it gives you complete even. There we go. Okay. Now, if you're taller or smaller, the rack, obviously we have loads of different rack heights that we can choose from, but try not to stretch out too much, and it will change your playing forever. If you get the fundamentals right and get everything perfect with your setup, your playing will blossom in years to come. I hope that helps. It is really basic, but sometimes we're guilty of not doing the basics. See you next time.